All right. One of the things they're doing, and I think it's them doing it, is they're playing around with when it goes on and when it turns off. They won't let it turn off. They'll make it look like it didn't turn on and it's on. Right. No, it's not because of anything I'm doing. It's just, it's nonstop. It's not because of anything I've done. It's nonstop. They made merchandise of me in the marketplace. They continually psychologically operated me so they could say something, so they could try to kill me because they tried to kill me. That's the only reason they're trying to do this, is because they've already tried to kill me. They didn't want me in government. Why did they want me in government? I'm better than their cronies. That's the bottom line. When they know they have a corrupt law enforcement person working with, it started like back when, and I'm not saying, what's his name? What's the Microsoft guy? Bill Gates. It doesn't. I'm not saying Gates is involved in it, but it's tech industry back then is when it started, and that kind of system existed, but it wasn't all of what we see. It existed beforehand. So when they had a corrupt government person that they knew was in, that they would cover for them, they prop that person up and use their tech industry to kill everyone else or anybody that's a competition at least. So if you had a half a brain and they knew it, they'd try to take you out if you weren't one of them corrupt pieces of garbage that they are. Well, they fantasized. Again, they had no direct knowledge really. Everybody, used fantasy to say that the person would take over or something like that. If you were around me in government, apparently this was one of the things. Somebody finally spoke out about it, where I was going to become somebody big at headquarters. So I'm looking. My life was already being crushed. So that's one of the psyop rumors that they'll spread. Right. That was one of the most compliant employees, actually. Right. What we got going over here as far as construction? Now they got their spells up. I have a doctor's appointment, so they put their spells up. Well, like I stayed inside over the weekend instead of going to the gym, so they see that as success because they were trying to put me out of the gym. Right? So I had some other plans over the weekend, and that was that. And it actually, the other plans got in the middle of an investigation. Yeah, to try to fix what's going on in LA is part of it. Again, I'm not. I'm also moving spiritual power to heal it. And again, that's something we got to remember to do in mass. So I'll have to post about that. Right? Oh God, my gas is low. That's okay. I'll have to change. I'll get gas later. I mean, I have time to do it probably now, but traffic's a little heavier than I expected. Yeah, racism is racism, and not being racist doesn't really translate into being treated by people of other colors fairly. Right? So, if I'd have been here instead of like where I grew up, different races mixed well for the time being. I guess the early '70s right, in Philadelphia, but again. If I'd have been here, I'm white, so generally, I mean, people hate me for not being a racist, but there are people here that would have treated me well. I perceive I'd have got to a church in Kansas City, right? And again, the Unity Church. I just became aware of the Unity Church. They kind of psyoped me away from the Unity Church. They really did, and they'll tell you that they were trying to get me to the Unity Church or something, but yeah, it's insanity, right? Hmm. Right. Yeah, I could probably get a handicap license plate. Probably could have for the last 5 years. Right. That's never, blocked me from all sorts of anything that would point to me being disabled. They they played it a screwed up way. I mean, it's Satan. I mean, there's nobody else that could have played it that way. But again, they're part of Satan. You have to get some. I guess the trick, the issue is the concrete barriers are that they could beat on the concrete barriers and turn them into rocks and stones. Right. So I guess there's an issue there. You got to get something in there to slow them down for the moment, right? Around certain buildings. I imagine, based upon what happened last night, the federal workforce is not at work. But what you do need to do is you need to continue on with immigration enforcement. You just need to do it. It is, you know, if you don't do it for like a week, they'll start it all up over again. Start it all over again. So there's no payback in this particular type of operation. And apparently, the Mexican government is signaling that they're supportive of acting out in that manner. The idea that the National Guard is inflaming things is a lie. Now, what they're doing is they're trying to radicalize people over the idea. The leftists and their operators, psychological operators, are attempting.
Thank you, Larry.
Thanks, Larry. To inflame people over it. Once I said it, they started picking up that vibe. So again, it's obvious that they're trying to point it towards the National Guard as being somehow a reason that they're doing this, and of course it is. I don't know if it just was weird. Gavin Newsom kind of said more pain, more something, more something. So my name's Moore, but I think it's just something that he said, but he could be directing the psychological operators after me. Right. So that needs to be looked at. Right. Obviously, I'm a federal help. Thank you, Larry. They said it directly after I recommended federal troops, and then of course he's saying it in reference to federal troops. So if they're needed. Obviously, there's no control. They just attack police headquarters. Well, see, your minds are skewed. They're not. You don't allow that. You don't allow any of that violent part of it. Right? You can stop it, but you need larger numbers, and then you bring in, some physical barriers and things. The idea of using concrete with those hammers. So the hammer is a criminal tool at this point. Now, again, the court may require you to prove that they were planned to use it to engage in vandalism. I don't know how that works, but I think there's some laws. It might just be probable cause and that kind of thing. Thanks, Larry. It's like a burglary tool at this point, but it's a riot tool. So I'm not sure. You might be able to get to some search warrant. Again, you have to. Again, it's California, so they're not like DC Metro when we had that thing. Well, you're going to have to probably. You might have to start search warrants. I'm trying to think here. Detective search. You have to go over all the types of searches and see where it's prudent. If they're stockpiling some stuff for an event, then you just you put in for a search warrant.
Correct.
And you take the stuff, you get it away from them. You don't have to arrest them, but if you want to, if there's a reason to, yeah. But you just got to get the tools of the riot trade away from them, so everybody remains safe.
Thank you, Larry.
I'm thinking.
Thank you, sir.
What was the other thing? It cursed me pretty hard. I just hit a big pothole. Could have went around it, but so or blocked me. I just had it. Oh, yeah. I'll reiterate the this one I have, but because they messed it up, got brought back a bigger thought. Uh, so you have to you have to you have to. There's different ways of handling it. Sometimes you can provide military support somewhere and free up officers to be something. So you don't have to bring the officer. You don't have to bring the military into certain operations, but it may be past that at this point. You need security. Oh, darn it! Let me look at my. Trying to mess up my doctor's appointment. I know it for sure. I, oh, I went too far north, maybe. Jesus, they're in everything, man. Trying to kill me on the road here. Trying to get myself situated. I may have went too far north. Right. What time is it? I'm getting there. Oh, my gosh. Hmm. So your security? Nah, they're not doing it because of this. They do it because of everything. Security. So if somebody pays, they do it. That's just how it works. They're paying to keep me out of the gym also, and keep me away from doctor's appointments. So, right. Why would you do that? Because you're a criminal, all of you, and a criminal is paying you, and that criminal is related, and those criminals are related through a chain of people to sex trafficking and narcotics distribution, and you are working for cartels. The easiest way to protect narcotics users and drug traffickers is to be in a law enforcement private investigation focus on that, because then you steer it away from your boss that's paying.
Correct.
Like, what's his name there? Osceola County. Well, what happens is the they start a deep state thing, and then it turns into, well, that's all he's doing is this kind of stuff that we're all doing, whether they call it deep state or not. Right? I have no idea. On here, I must have went too far north, I think, or I may have actually came this way last time. So you need a dedicated security detail. That's all they do is they go there and they conduct security. Right? Now, there's nothing that says the military people have to be in military uniform. They may get angry at that, but say, because if you watch what they're doing, the opposition, whether they be Democrats or whatever, they're constantly looking at, they're constantly contradicting themselves almost. Well, I think I maybe did go this way last time. Thank you, Larry. So the idea is if you have them dressed down in civilian clothes, what what are they going to say? Well, why are they in civilian clothes? Well, they're in civilian clothes because it's easier on the community mind. They don't see somebody in a. And again, obviously the law enforcement is driving around in military appearing vehicles and things, and military outfits and things. So again, it's just part of what the world has turned into, because again, it's a reaction to what other people are doing. Thank you, Larry. Again, they have name tapes sometimes. Make sure they're covering their name tapes. I don't know if they are, or maybe they remove them nowadays. I don't know. We used on the DMZ, we would use duct tape. We would cover our name tapes with duct tape. And because if they started the loudspeaker stuff, they would start calling your name if they got your name. The North Koreans. Right. So we did some work up there to put in video surveillance. Probably some of the earlier video surveillance that looked into certain locations. Didn't exist before that. I think it was the Bridge of No Return. Put something there. A couple other places. So we covered our. So again, it appears that Mexico may be coming out about it. 100%. I did a map years ago on what Mexico controlled. It's obviously coming true. Correct, Larry. Now somebody else did a map like that, but I did it like 2016 or something, or 17. I don't know. Oh, darn it. Just missed my turn. Yeah, they're busy minding me. Let's see if I can get out of here by just going through here. I think I can. It looks like their truck storage place with in and out probably. Yeah, I'm through coming early to appointments. I'm just I'll slide in a few minutes early. So what they're also doing is they're trying to steer my mind away from the operation. What the hey? Oh, there it is. I think I came in from the other side last time, so I don't know. It's not there. It's over here. Yeah, there it is. I got to pick up the hearing aids from the VA. Hopefully, they're a decent pair. I should have spoke more clearly with him to find out what model he would order. There's something they do to confuse confuse everything. All right. Not disabled people, actually people with handicap plates. So I'm trying to find a parking spot. I don't know if I will. Going to the VA with his wife. That's real nice. That's what's supposed to happen for us. Right. Again, they violated every rule in the book and every law in the book. All right, stay peaceful.